It's your Tuesday night of Life Crusher Live. How you all doing out there? Give me a wave if you are watching Psych Chrissy tonight, because she's vibing all the happiness. I'm doing my Life Crushers Live for the next few weeks on happiness because I've got a brand new program coming out with Coach Mel called The Happiness Project. So it's this bloody kick-ass little wellness program that we've got that is going to be all about things happiness. And I'm hoping by the end of the 2 weeks that people are just going to be happy. So it's jam-packed full of value and little tips and tricks each day of how you just live a better lifestyle and how you live one that's consistent with you feeling good about yourself, you getting out of bed every day, fist pumping. Hey, Steph. So yeah, I'm really pumped about the program launch. So I do have the date for you tonight, guys. I think in my broadcast last week, I'm like, yeah, do the Happiness Project. Don't know when it's launching, but it's October the 1st. So for everybody out there, you've got October till October the 1st. $29, guys. Seriously. Like these days, you can't even buy a bloody meal for that price, let alone 2 weeks of friggin' happiness. And you get to work with Psych Chrissy. Like, what more could you want for your $29? But maybe other things besides Psych Chrissy, but who knows, but it's just an awesome way to get yourself motivated and thinking about little tasks that you can do to just make yourself feel better each day. So the next couple of Life Crushers, I'm going to be looking at some of the difficulties that people face in just trying to, get their happiness going. So I will crack into that tonight. But what a few weeks it's been, guys. Jesus, I don't know whether you've been watching the socials, but Psych Chrissy has been flying all around. Hey, Kelly. All around bloody Australia with the salon growth seminars. So I presented in Melbourne, and then I had a quick, decision to fly to Perth and present out there. And I had an absolute blast of a time delivering Psych Chrissy's home truths about positive mindset and business psychology. So I had an absolute blast doing that. And yeah, it was just really good to get out there and talk to the people rather than talking to my video camera and watch if anyone's bloody or wonder whether anyone's bloody watching. They are though. They were coming up to me at the seminar going, oh, Psych Chrissy, I love your little videos and things like that. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad someone's watching. Anyway, guys, let's crack into it tonight. If you're joining Psych Chrissy live, give me a wave, give me a like, give me a thumbs up. Hey, Rosemary, we're talking about more so mindset barriers, or even the way that we talk to ourselves and how critical that is in playing a role in how happy we actually are. There's lots of little problematic ways that we tend to think that can often get in the way of us just feeling good. And I've got some that I want to run over tonight. But if you really want to get a good understanding of certain thinking styles and how they really do get in our way, go and listen to the Well AF podcast, because I'm still crushing out the Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself series, which looks at all kinds of thinking patterns and how that really does prevent us from living a happy and meaningful lifestyle. So if you really want some good lengthier content on some of this stuff, mind you, the podcasts are only 10 minutes or so each, so they're definitely doable on the train or on the bus or on the walk or wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you want more of this stuff, go and listen to the Well AF podcast, the last 5 episodes. You'll get some rippers on there. Hey, Caitlin, thanks for joining Psych Chrissy on Life Crusher Live. We're looking at self-talk tonight and how that really can get in the way of us feeling happy and feeling good about ourselves. So, what types of negative self-talk do we really need to be mindful of? The first one that I wrote down, I thought, what is it that people really struggle with, when they come and see Psych Chrissy? The biggest one I feel like are the real self-defeating type commentaries or narratives that people engage in. So it's things like, not being good enough, or not being able to do things, or never getting anything right, or just talking to yourself or seeing yourself as defective or not functional, or just not someone that you can accept to a certain degree because of your defectiveness or your faults or your difficulties. And it's often strongly associated with low self-esteem. So people that have low self-esteem really engage in self-defeating type self-talk. Now, you could imagine what sort of impact that has on happiness. If you're talking to yourself like shit all the time, and you're being really unkind to yourself, and you're getting out the bad, and you're knocking yourself on the head with it, how the heck can you be happy if you're talking to yourself in that way? So getting people to really understand their self-defeating self-talk is very, very important, and it's the first step to trying to get them to change it. Because, if you really want to be happy within yourself, you've got to talk to yourself in kind of ways. Otherwise, that is never, ever going to happen. So self-defeating self-talk, you've got to get that under control if you want to feel happier, particularly towards yourself. And particularly if you want to have healthy self-esteem, you've really got to get that under control. Hey, Lise, thanks for joining Psych Chrissy tonight on Life Crusher Live. If you're loving it, give me some likes, give me some loves, punch them out. That way my broadcast will be shared further and more lucky people will get to digest the amazing Psych Chrissy content. All right, so self-defeating self-talk, not good, guys. If you want to be happy, get rid of it. You've got to stop doing that. You've got to look into ways of managing that self-talk to feel happier about yourself. The other thing that I find really gets in people's ways, and it's that I've presented on this one before, the negative Nancy's, but pessimistic outlooks or pessimistic thinking styles. So they're always negative. They're always coming up with something that's going to happen or something that's not going to go right, or just that really bleak and that lack of optimism. Pessimism obviously is the opposite to that. The negative Nancy syndrome that I've spoken to you guys about, of course that would get in the bloody way of happiness. If you've got a pessimistic or a bleak outlook, you may as well grab your happiness, squash it into a million pieces and just chuck it in the bloody bin. Because, if you're always looking out for the next negative thing that's going to happen in your life, how the hell are you going to feel good? So pessimism or bleak outlooks is another thing that I find really stops people from feeling happy day to day, because they're always sitting there, wondering when the next negative thing's going to happen. So the next thing that I find is really challenging, and this is for all the anxious people out there, because one of the reasons why you're so anxious is because you catastrophize, you exaggerate things, you make really unhelpful predictions. Now, when I say catastrophize, you make things bigger than what they are. You almost predict just catastrophic outcomes for yourself. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? So there's a real anxiety that comes with that type of thinking style. And I suppose from a happiness perspective, there's no way that you're going to feel happy if you're always sitting there thinking, when's the next plane going to come crashing through my window, man? Or, when's my next... Maybe it's not that catastrophic, but things like, I'm just trying to think of what some of my clients would catastrophize about a day-to-day failure. Oh, when's the next thing going to go wrong? Nothing ever goes right. When is this person going to, all of the negative stuff, all the unhelpful predictions that are actually really, really exaggerated. So as far as a happiness perspective goes, if you're somebody that really does inflate things or catastrophize or make unhelpful predictions, if you walk around, wondering what if a lot of the time, and you make decisions based on on that, I can guarantee you that you are compromising a lot of your happiness as a result of that. Caitlin, you're giving your negative Nancy the boot. Good on you, girl. You've really got to do it. If you want the ultimate, which is to be happy in your life, you can't be negative Nancy all the time. You've really got to look at that as being a barrier to your happiness, and you've got to start thinking in different ways, thinking in more optimistic ways to be able to feel good about yourself each day. This one, I'm really excited about this next one and talking to you guys, because I haven't really spoken about it a lot, but I must say it gets in the way of people making progress so much. It is unbelievable. So it's this thing that we call in psychology land, and I hate using all of these, fandango psychology terms, but I've got to use it, and I'll explain it, so don't freak out on me, people. But it's called emotional reasoning. So basically, it's the decision making that we engage in that is fully based on how we are feeling. Now, for example, and I'm sure we've all done this, it's I don't want to go to the gym because I don't feel like it, or because I feel tired. Now, for somebody that's really motivated to want to live a healthier lifestyle, or they want to make diet changes, or they want to lose weight, or they want to get fitter, or whatever, when they make a decision based on emotions, like I don't want to go to the gym because I feel tired, that's their emotional reasoning kicking in. It's not consistent with the way that they want to live life, but because their emotions are dictating to them how they're making decisions, they make the wrong ones. So when your emotions are forever pushing you around and impacting on your decision making, sometimes they can move you further and further away from things that are healthy and productive in your life, like going to the gym, or like healthy eating, or like trying to have healthy relationships. I'm not going to deal with that conflict because I feel stressed or overwhelmed. Now, that's problematic, because not dealing with that conflict might be creating all of these other problems in your life, but because you feel stressed and overwhelmed, you excuse yourself from it. So you can't make decisions, guys, based fully just on how you're feeling, because a lot of the time, if it's an uncomfortable mood state, it'll be telling you the wrong thing to do. I can guarantee it. Our emos do not serve us well. When we're feeling uncomfortable, we make the wrong decisions. Now, as far as happiness goes, if you're forever basing your decision making on how you're feeling in an uncomfortable moment, you're going nowhere. It's literally like you're stuck on a treadie running full tilt, and happiness is like, someone's dangling that in front of you and you're like running, but you're not really getting anywhere. So emotional reasoning, bad. You can't do that. You've got to really get a handle on it. Otherwise, you'll be forever making decisions based on your uncomfortable mood state, and you'll be running on that treadmill, and, that eye on the prize will just be getting further and further away. The other thing too, emotional reasoning is really linked to procrastination. So if you're a procrastinator, or you just never seem to get things done, it's you fully making decisions based on emotions, like, oh, I'm a bit bored, I might go and eat that thing over there rather than actually do these tasks. Sometimes that's Psych Chrissy. Or I might just focus on this thing over here. Oh, that looks interesting, and then you're getting away from this thing over here that needs to be done. So strongly linked to procrastination, emotional reasoning as well. So the last one I want to touch on for you guys tonight is rigidity. And again, Well AF podcast, guys, go and search Psych Chrissy. I did a whole podcast on rigid thinking. I think it was Stop Digging Your Heels in, Debbie. That was the name of the podcast. So if you're a rigid thinker, go and find Stop Digging Your Heels in, Debbie on my podcast and listen. It'll be 10 minutes of glory and how to untangle yourself from rigid thinking. But it's pretty much Debbie digging your heels in. So just inflexibility and being rigid and not taking on other people's point of view, and and a lot of the times that people, when they're digging their heels in, there's no real rational reason why they're doing it. Later on, sometimes they realize, oh shit, why did I actually keep pushing that? Or why did I absolutely refuse to take on that insight? Or, when they've calmed down a little bit, they're much more open and they can be a little bit more flexible. But being rigid in that moment really gets in the way of your happiness, because it often prevents you from getting things that you need, whether it be, someone listening to your point of view, or someone being able to, to be able to resolve a conflict or a relationship issue, or navigate a problem situation. When you're digging your heels in and you're being really rigid about something, you don't open your eyes to possibilities or new perspectives or, different points of view. So you stay really narrow-minded. And that really does affect your happiness, because often a lot of the time you feel angry and resentful, towards others. You can feel shame or guilt afterwards, because, when you calm down you think, maybe I overreacted a little bit when I started throwing my arms around and I was digging my heels in like Debbie, overreacting to a situation. Often later on that can come with some shame and regret, and, and you just you start feeling crappy. So rigidity or rigid thinking, digging your heels in, whatever you want to call it, I find that's another negative self-talk experience that does tend to get in people's way of them feeling really happy and good about themselves. Hey, Alicia. So let's do the Psych Chrissy rundown. The main negative thinking styles, or the negative self-talk that I find really gets in the way of people's happiness. We've got self-defeating, so banging yourself over the head with a stick. We've got pessimism or negative Nancy. That girl's got to give it up. We have got catastrophizing. So again, on the Well AF podcast, making a mountain out of a molehill. Go and check it out. Emotional reasoning. So that's making decisions based fully on an uncomfortable emotion, and it just never pans out for you because it takes you away from you wanting to live a more meaningful lifestyle that's consistent with stuff that you want in your life, and strongly linked to procrastination. And then rigidity, so rigid thinking. So these are the main negative self-talk styles that I find really get in people's way. And if, like I said, if you want some more specific information on how to really manage some of those, go to the Well AF podcast. And I spend quite a bit of time speaking about each one of those, not all of them, but most of them. And you can get some really cool strategies of what to do and how to manage those. So there we go, guys. There's the Life Crusher Live. Join my happiness project. I want to work with everybody. I want everyone to start getting their happiness boots on and putting their strategies in place, and come and work with Psych Chrissy. So I think there's a link on the post, and yeah, I want you guys to come along and have fun with Psych Chrissy and Coach Mel in the Happiness Project. If not, keep watching the Life Crusher Lives, keep listening to the podcast. There's gold nuggets in there all over the place, in helping you guys trying to live your bloody best life. All right, guys, thanks for joining me tonight, and I will see all you guys soon.